It's time for the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU, the official local sports show here in Glasgow and Barren County. And now, alongside John Butler, here is your host, James Brown.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. This week, James Brown, John Butler, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We are going to discuss, here on Labor Day, we're going to discuss the Glasgow Barren County football game from Friday night. I don't know. If you're a fan of one of the teams, you might have a different opinion of the game of the one I'm about to give. Like if you're a Glasgow fan, you're probably got the opinion your team won, and if you're a Barren County fan, you're upset that your team lost. My opinion was that was one of the worst football games in this rivalry I've ever seen, and it really had nothing to do with the players other than the fact that they were having flags thrown on them. John, it was a rough one to watch. It
was tough to watch at times. You're right. Both teams played hard, but there were 30 accepted penalties, 19 on Glasgow, 11 on Barren, close to 250 yards of penalties, and it made it very choppy, to say the least. Mm-hmm. It's hard to score when you're consistently going backwards because of penalties too. That makes it difficult.
First and 20 is not a good place to start any drive. And
it's been a continuation. The first game of the year for both Glasgow and Barren was kind of the same story. A ton of penalties, more holding calls than I can ever remember. Mm-hmm. I'm not listening. I'm not. Officiating is a very tough job.
Oh yeah,
but it's like certain officials. You know it in basketball. Mm-hmm. If you've been around basketball long enough and you coach, you know certain officials are going to call certain things.
Right.
Like for example, if you fall down, it's going to be a charge. Yeah. So you got to be careful about certain things. And in baseball, same thing. Certain officials has a tighter strike zone than others.
Some high, some low.
So that's correct. And in football, certain officials, I mean, they chart them at the NFL level. The each team keeps up with them. Certain officials call a whole lot of holds or pass interferences, and others are more lenient and so forth. And the crew that we've had the first 2 weeks are very, very,
they like a hold.
The hold is evidently a point of emphasis. But, and I'm not saying they're wrong or anything like that. It's a tough job, but it's a tough watch. It's a very tough watch to watch with so many penalties.
Very often early in a season, you do get these things where you get the illegal procedures because, even though they've been working on the offense for several months at this point, a couple of months or whatever, and they've put them in, you still have that, that live action jitters that the players have, and they'll make – they'll get false starts, or they'll get in the wrong formation, or they'll have two move at the same time. Early in the season, you see these things.
Right.
And as you just mentioned, the point of emphasis thing, because every year there's some point of emphasis. Sometimes it's about, taunts or, just different things.
I don't think it's hold.
Usually it's not. That's the part that's kind of amusing about this, is because out of 30 penalties, I mean, what? 15, 20, somewhere in that range was holds.
30 accepted.
Yeah, 30 accepted penties. Yeah, that's right, because there were 3 or 4 that weren't accepted.
Yeah, it was a bunch, and it was just hard to get a feel for the game, and I'm sure it was for the players the same way too. It's difficult, and they maybe there were. I mean, there were several that I could just sit up there where I was and go, yeah, that's an obvious one, but nevertheless, had a monster crowd. I'm not sure there's more people outside the gates than inside the gates too. Yeah, and so it was the
barbecue's good on the hill over there.
Yeah, so it was a huge crowd, and it was a really good win for Coach Arnett in Glasgow. 22-8. The game was. Obviously, it was close throughout, 7-0 at half, Glasgow, and then Barren came back and took an 8-7 lead before Glasgow scored the go-ahead touchdown and eventually tapped on one at the very end.
Yeah.
So, the game was like most Barren Glasgow games that were close and so forth, but But Glasgow made more plays, even though they had 19 penalties. I know that's frustrating.
Yeah.
They made more plays. Cameron Bull was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
If you had to give a player of the game, it has to be Cameron Bull.
Mm-hmm.
He made two huge plays in the first quarter. Glasgow was like 4th and 20, 22, and he's a punter as well.
Yeah.
And it was a low snap. I can't remember if it was either low or he dropped a snap or whatever. Something like that. It was like 4th and 20, 22. So he decided to run, and through a combination of Barren missing tackles and Cameron Bull running through tackles, he miraculously picked up 24 out of the 22 that he needed for the first down that kept that drive going. And he also scored the go-ahead touchdown in the third quarter on that 53-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
So he made arguably two of the biggest plays in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that drive that Glasgow scored, Barren had them 4th and 20+ twice.
Yeah.
And they converted one off the kind of the scramble off the punt, and then the second one was a nice play by Hudson Gum, the quarterback, where the play kind of broke down and it looked like he was going to take off, and I don't think he's going to pick up 22 yards on the ground. And at the last second, he decided to make the pass, and either there was a coverage breakdown or Barren thought he was going to run, and the coverage moved up, and he picked that up, and Glasgow went on and scored that drive. But hats off to just those plays right there. But in particular, I thought Cameron Bull, who had 104 yards and a touchdown for the game, I thought he played well. Jalen Bradley, too, had a big game, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I thought I was going to point that out about Cameron Bull because, I mean, you going back to that, picking up the low snap and then running. At one point, I think 3 Barren County kids hit him, and he looked like he was going to go down. He managed to get his hand down and keep his feet.
Yes, right. A lot of people thought his knee hit the ground. It did not. He kept his hand down. He looked like he was going to go down and spun out of there and just made a great play.
Yeah, because, I mean, they had him. He was going to be short if he had not managed to keep his feet. And I think, there's that. And then I think on the touchdown run, somebody had him, and he managed to just slip away like near the line of scrimmage right at the beginning of that run. I mean, those were probably the 2 biggest plays in the game. Even though Glasgow still converted that later 4th down, they just Glasgow looked dead in the water on that first drive until Cam Bull had that big run.
It's hard to convert 2 4th downs that are 20 plus. Yeah,
it is. But I thought.
I mean, they were outside of the penalties, which was way too many. There wasn't a lot of turnovers.
No, each team had one. I think
each team had one. I don't think it led to anything, to be honest with you. Probably one of the biggest plays in the game was Barren was down 7-0 and had the ball going in to score late in the first half, and did not score. Coach Myers on his post-game show, I really like it when a coach admits something, takes responsibility, and he said he probably screwed that up a little bit on what happened right there. Barren did not have any timeouts left, and it's about 8 seconds left, 9 seconds, and it was like 2nd and 2 or 3, just 2 or 3 yards from the goal line or whatever, with no timeouts left. And I hate when people discuss a situation based on the result of a play, because you don't know what's going to happen in the result. The discussion should be at the time, what decision would you make, not if it works or doesn't work. Barren decided to, and what Coach Meyer said is that the team kind of talked him into running the ball, and I said at the time, if you're going to run it, you got to score, because you can't. If you don't score, the clock's going to run out and so forth. And I kind of thought it might be more one of those bootleg with the quarterback, or a run sweep where the quarterback has an option to either to run it in or at least throw it or get rid of it, and then you have another play. And Barren decided to run it, and it didn't score. And it had been nice, obviously, momentum-wise, to score. Whether it's 3, he could actually kick the field goal too. Yeah. Or could have scored because Barren got the kickoff back. I mean, it's like scoring and we're getting the ball right back, because Barren got the ball to start the third quarter. It was a big part of the game. Don't know. people go, well, that's, and you can't assume just because if Barron had scored, then not necessarily they were going to win. You can't do that because Glasgow is not going to play the last 8 minutes of the game just trying to run the clock out either.
Yeah.
So everything, the dynamics are totally different. But was it a big play? Yeah, it was a big play. And but sometimes you do these things, you get in these situations. I just know in basketball, early in the year, there are situations that you run into that you just have not had time to practice.
Yeah.
And you just run into them in the game, and you may not have your last second play in yet. You may not have worked on certain situations as much because you just can't get everything in that early. And you hope by the end of the year you've either have practiced enough or gone through it where you know what you're doing late in the games, late in the year. And that's off. I mean, I understand sometimes with football coaches and football teams, it's the same thing. You cannot go over every situation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the time and so forth. And sometimes you just got to go through games, and then you'll figure out, okay, this, if we get back in this situation again, this is how I want to handle it and so forth. And I think, Barron will learn a lot from that.
I thought there were a couple of things in the game that stood out to me that I don't know if I didn't expect, that I didn't really think about, this kind of thing. I really thought, because I thought that Barron would control the line of scrimmage, especially on the offensive line versus Glasgow's defensive line.
Yeah.
I thought that would be the case, and Glasgow kind of –
I thought that was the way for Barron. If Barron's going to win, they were going to really control up front.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the advantage.
And Glasgow looked at it and said, well, we're going to try to neutralize that by putting basically 9 people in the box.
Right.
And so that kind of changed the math on that. That surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, Barron could not run against Glasgow.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody got more than 30 yards. And Glasgow did a great job of – they had about 9 people in the quote-unquote box.
Yeah.
Which basically means right on the line of scrimmage or, within 3 or 4 yards, which made it very, very difficult to run. They took away Corbin Wells, who had gained close to 100 yards in the first game, the fullback. I don't think Corbin – he may not have run it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But they took that fullback away and basically dared Barron to make a big play either through throwing or trying to get outside and so forth. And for the most part, Barron just had a hard time creating any type of seams, blocking Glasgow. I did think Briggs Harris, quarterback, I thought he played pretty well. He had 100 yards of passing. There was a couple, I have to give Jarek Martin credit. He probably saved 2 touchdowns by pass interference calls.
Well, I was going to say the irony of Glasgow's defense was they left Jarek Martin on an island against Jackson Bird, who may have had 200 yards receiving in the game, but he certainly racked up about 100 yards in penalties against others.
Yeah, there was a couple pass interference calls where they just grabbed him. On one was on a basically a wheel route, not a wheel route. It was like a turner, a fake and go type of deal, where it really the Glasgow defender bit, but being smart, he just grabbed him where he couldn't score that way. And you are penalized in high school with pass interference, but it's not like the pros. The pros, it's wherever the penalty was, you just move it.
Yeah, spot a foul there.
Spot a foul, but not in high school. It's 15 yards. It's not even an automatic first down, which is the dumbest thing in the world. That's another dumb rule in high school.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why more people just don't grab people.
Well, I mean, that's kind of – I mean, look, you look at that, and then there was a pass interference against Jackson in the end zone on the drive where they didn't get the touchdown to end the first half.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was a great defensive play, even though it's a penalty, because he was going to have a touchdown. I mean, he was high, he was up in the air, the ball was there. I mean, it was a great defensive play to take the penalty. And, because then it only ended up being like a 7-yard penalty in that situation because of half the distance situation.
Yeah. But another thing, give Glasgow some credit too. Once they got the lead in the third quarter, I thought their offensive line was really good.
Yes.
They kind of weaned the clock out, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Just basically hand the ball off for the most part to Cam Bull and Jalen Bradley. Mm-hmm. And Barron just had a hard time tackling them.
Yeah.
And that probably surprised me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And but it's a good win for Glasgow. It's not the end of the world for Barron. I've said it on the air. It's. I thought last year was a big win for Barron. It kind of momentum-wise really gave them confidence and moved forward. And maybe that does the same thing this year for Glasgow with a new coach. It's like Coach Myers was new last year. Coach Arnett is new to Glasgow, so it may have that effect for Glasgow too. But long term, I don't think it's going to hurt Barren. Barren has got to solve. They've got to block better, and they've got the size and so forth. They got to do a little bit job of blocking, and maybe with their offense at times, and be. They just got to fix some wrinkles and so forth. But that's why you play these early games and so forth.
Yeah, Barren had some plays that they left on the field, either missed passes or the penalties. Same thing with Glasgow too. Penalties that just killed a play and then eventually killed a drive. And so I don't know. Either those have to be cleaned up, or we get to see a different officiating crew without the emphasis on the hold, I suppose. We'll see how it goes. Real quick, though, before I get out of this segment, let's talk about what they have coming up. Glasgow has an interesting game coming up because they're at home against Monroe County, and Monroe beat Allen 24-14 on Friday night. Monroe's 2-0. We talked about this at the beginning before the season started. That this Monroe County team, they've had circled for a little while, Coach Pettit and his crew, thinking this group could be a good group for them. And when they're good, they're really good. And I don't know how good Allen is this year, but I do know, the final was 24-14, but if you look at the trajectory of the game, Monroe seemed to dominate that game despite the final score.
Yeah, no, this is one of the better Monroe County teams they've had in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
They're very experienced, got a lot of seniors and so forth who's played a long time and so forth. They're finally healthy at the quarterback position. So this is if you just if you project Glasgow's schedule out, it's hard to do that. You don't know injuries, but I don't see a lot of losses on their schedule.
No.
I could see them at the end of the year being 8-2, 9-1, 10-0. I can see any of those in that. But Monroe will be one of those tougher ones.
Yeah.
Coming off the Barren moment, the emotions of the Barren win. But I will say Glasgow has a rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Arnett graduated from Monroe, so he's not going to it's not going to be overlooked that game's going to mean a heck of a lot to him too.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Lincoln, his brother, is an assistant over at Monroe.
Well, he used to be. I don't know if he still is or now.
Yeah.
But so they will be fully prepared for Monroe County. So that should be a really good game this week. But I do think the Barren game will help Glasgow because I don't think they got a lot out of the first game.
No.
And the physicalness of the Barren game will help them.
Yeah. And then Barren plays over at Metcalfe County on their new turf field. So
everybody's got turf.
They do. Everybody Glasgow at this point.
And I love the Glasgow field.
Yeah.
The grass field. But it's a bounce back game for Barren needs it because their schedule is, I think it's harder than it was last year.
Yeah.
Metcalfe's 1-1, lost to Taylor County, came back and beat Adair
8-7,
8-7, things like that.
Halftime score was 2-0.
Yeah, so Barren
Metcalfe.
If you just project Barren out, how's Barren going to get to 7-3 or 6-4? Okay. Well, if they're going to get to 7-3 and 6 or 6-4, 8-2, they're going to have to beat Metcalfe,
right?
Because they're still staring at some tough teams coming up.
Yeah, Greenwood and Bowling Green.
Bowling Green back to back. Those won't be easy at all.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting Friday night. We are guaranteed one thing, John.
What's that?
Not to see one of us won't see this officiating crew on Friday night.
No, and I don't want to.
I'm not bashing them. It's just been a lot of penalties that they've had. They've done every game that we've covered so far this year.
Probably need a different look.
That's right.
And listen, to be honest with you, if Barren, whoever Barren plays and whoever Glasgow plays, if there's this many flags, then you have to look in your own mirror, right?
Yeah. It's on the players at that point and on the coaches because it has nothing to do with the officiating crew.
That's correct. It's like divorcing 4 times. It's not always. It can't always be your fault, right?
It's a 50-50 proposition.
It's not always the other person's fault.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to wake up in the morning and look at yourself and say, "Why does this keep happening to me?"
You may be the problem.
That's right. All right, this is the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. James Brown, John Butler here, talking college football. We just got finished talking about the Barren and Glasgow game from Friday night. And WKU wins again. They won on week 0, and they win on week 1. They beat up on North Alabama 55-6, I think was the final. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah, no, they should have beat. You should beat North Alabama,
North
which
Alabama is a class down.
1AA or whatever they are.
They should, but it looks like to me this is one of the better WKU teams here recently. You know,
yeah.
It's very quarterback driven,
mm-hmm.
and when the quarterback is big time, they're going to have a big time year because this is the type of offense that Coach Helton likes.
Yeah.
You know, so it looks like the Bailey Zappi or somebody like that back there. You're going to have to score some points to beat West WKU. It just depends on how good ultimately WKU is going to be defensively, but they're going to be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you got a quarterback named Maverick McIver, he better be good.
And it's the second time that they brought in a quarterback. Offensive coordinator
mm-hmm.
from another school as a package. They've done that twice. They did it with Bailey Zappi, and now they've done it this way. But even though the offense coordinator comes in, it's still, to me, a Coach Helton type offense.
Yeah.
I think he has the perimeters on what he wants because it doesn't look drastically different than any other year, to be honest with you. It's just sometimes the quarterback's better.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how he goes about it, and we talked about this some last week. But just he has an idea of what he wants, and he's trying to find the people that fit it. And in this case, at least twice, it's been a combo of the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coming together.
Yeah,
and I mean it worked out pretty well for him last time.
I agree.
Our man Aiden Miller, who was a preferred walk-on at WKU, I don't know if he has a scholarship yet or not.
From Barren. Yep.
Yeah, from Barren County. Played there a couple of years ago. Got in the game.
Good.
Playing tight end.
It's his third year, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so we have another guy there. I mean, we had Dalvin Smith for like 5 or 6 years at WKU, and now we have got Aiden Miller there. Hopefully he gets a little more playing time. What I saw, he had no I don't think he went out on the pass routes. He was used as a blocking tight end from what I saw when I was going back and looking at the recap of the game and that kind of thing. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. So, yeah, good for him getting in. Meanwhile, Kentucky beat Toledo 24-16, and Rico Crowder, who played at Glasgow, still at Kentucky. He played on some special teams during the game.
Good.
I will say this about Kentucky's win over Toledo. Their offense did not look great. The running game looked okay.
How many times have we been able to say that Kentucky's offense hasn't looked great?
Except the only time is when they accidentally found the right quarterback.
For 1 year.
Yeah, for 1 year.
Yeah, Will.
That 1 year.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
That's the only year. I mean, it looks to me to be the same old. I don't think they were real happy with the starting quarterback they brought in. I think Mr. Boley, who's sitting in the wings, I think it's just a matter of time when he gets in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the quarterback didn't throw for 100 yards.
No.
And it's Toledo. They're not bad. It's a MAC school, not bad at all.
Usually pretty good.
But in today's time, your quarterback at that level probably needs to throw it 180, 200 or more yards.
Well, and we'll talk about that because we got some high-profile name quarterbacks who also did not look good on Saturday. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But going back to this, it looks like Kentucky doesn't even run an offense for him to really try to throw the ball down the field. I don't know if they don't trust their receivers or what the deal is. I mean, now the running back and the offensive line I thought, look pretty good in that game, but they were playing a MAC school. And even though Toledo's a good MAC school, it's still not like playing against an SEC school, so we really don't know what they look like. But it really looked like they didn't even run an offense. Like, not play action stuff. If you're going to have a run-based offense, usually you're going to try to play action into some deep balls and that kind of thing. But it really didn't even look like they tried to do that.
Well, in fairness, I didn't watch much of it.
Yeah, well,
but
you didn't miss
I
much.
didn't think I would. I mean, that's a score that, if I could have written the score down beforehand, it'd be something like that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Louisville rolled all over EKU, 51-17. So
it's hard to get a judge of that one, other than Jeff Brom is a great coach, and the quarterback he brought in from USC. It was 41-0 at halftime. It was over early. I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah. They look good. Their offense again looks really good. It's we talked about this last year with Kentucky and Louisville. That Louisville's offense looks really good, and Kentucky's defense might look really good, but they just don't. They each seem to have the other problem, and we don't know about if Louisville fixed their defensive issues from last season yet.
Won't know yet.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks that are high profile but look like they had no business being on the field, we have Arch Manning, who plays for Texas. He's the son of Cooper Manning, the grandson of Archie Manning, and he's the least Manning-looking quarterback of any Manning quarterback I've seen.
Man, that's harsh.
I mean, he looked terrible, to be up frank with you. I mean, he didn't. It didn't look good.
Well, he didn't play well.
No,
But
he's supposed to look like he's supposed to be there.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the hype, there was, in fairness to him, just when people were proclaiming him a Heisman Trophy winner, and
Oh yeah,
Paul Feinbaum talking about how great and all this stuff, and he really hasn't done much.
no,
To
he
be
didn't
honest
really
with you.
look particularly
That's not-
good when he got in the games last
So
year.
that's not, the hype. I was impressed how he handled himself after the game. He's so composed.
Yeah,
And so forth. But no, I mean, they did not play well. He did not play well. He's off target a lot.
Yeah.
He's got kind of a funny throwing motion
Doesn't
a little
he?
bit. Yeah, it's not real smooth and so forth. Now,
it's
listen,
almost like a baseball pitch the way he throws it.
it's
Sometimes
it's not real smooth, but it's how the Texas going to Ohio State. That's not an easy deal right there. I think Texas will be fine, and I think Arch Manning, as the year goes on, will be better. He was not good. You are right, and I don't think he's a Heisman Trophy candidate or whatever, and a number one draft pick.
No.
I think that's going to be a while, but he's got good genes. And
that's what they say.
All the Mannings have been good players and good people too.
Yeah, look,
And-
I
and
think
I
I like
think
the way he conducts
I
himself.
do too. I love how he took full responsibility and so forth, and I think there's things to work with when somebody does that, rather than deflecting and blaming and all that other stuff.
I said all that about Arch Manning and talking about Texas's offense. They lost the game 14-7 at Ohio State. Ohio State wasn't particularly impressive either, I didn't think.
No, but they were not. I mean, they've got a new quarterback too, but it's a first game of the year, August 30th. Two top teams. That's not an easy. It's not an easy opener for either team.
No.
But luckily, that now that you have more of a legitimate playoff, one loss is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
But Texas has got to be a little bit more careful because they've got a tougher schedule than Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing about the game is it's you have two of the top teams, and they're two of the top teams in the nation playing on that first Saturday. And it just, as a person who doesn't care who wins, you're just kind of watching the game to watch a good game. No, it was not fun.
No.
Meanwhile, Florida State whipped Alabama 31-17. That was the final score. I will tell you this. As I watched that game, I thought to myself, those two teams were the opposite of each other. Florida State was unranked.
Oh, they were 2-10 last year.
They were terrible last year. But they've done a heck of a job.
Of course, they've probably had 50 transfers too.
Well, that's what I was about to say. They've done a heck of a job putting together a team. They got new coach, Gus Malzahn, as the offensive coordinator.
Oh, what money will do.
It will. And I tell you what, man, they look like Alabama's supposed to look. I'll just be honest with you.
Alabama.
They were more physical. They were faster. They were better.
Yeah, Alabama, they've lost. This is, I think, his fourth loss. He's been there 2 years to an unranked team. Now, I think Florida State ended up being ranked, so that's
they were much better than.
That's a little deceiving.
Yeah,
but I'd say the coach at Alabama. I mean, it's almost impossible to replace a legend like Nick Saban. But you don't really want to get off to the starts that he's gotten.
Yeah.
Last year, losing to Vanderbilt, having 4 losses, and now starting off this year with. It's not just losing to Florida State. It's not playing real well.
No, they got whipped. I mean, this score was closer than the game was.
That's correct. So it's
his time in Tuscaloosa is short, I do believe.
I don't know
at this rate.
His buyout's close to $70 million.
Yeah, well, they got money. This is unacceptable in Alabama standards right here.
The problem with that is that money now is more spent on players and NIL. So buying out coaches, I don't think is quite as easy.
No, it's going to be a fascinating conundrum. This is a situation that makes for this fascinating conundrum in the present college football environment with the money situation you talked about, because people are already ponying up money to pay players. Are they willing to pony up money to pay coaches to go away as
well, you know my feeling. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you're going to do that, give it to cancer research.
Yeah, well,
I mean, don't do so. I mean, it's so ripe with with arrogance, with I don't know what's wrong with the world half the time when you're doing stuff like that. But somebody may do it.
Yeah,
because Alabama's got to have a great team, so we can't tolerate
Well, certainly Alabama
like
can't. I mean, this is Alabama football, Kentucky basketball, you know? I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you can't be bad. You can't – it's not about your record. It's about how do you look as much as anything, and they looked bad. And the question is, are they that bad? Because or is Florida State that good? And Florida State might be that good because those guys looked fantastic. I've just got to say. I got done, and I kept looking up at the thing, and it did not have a ranking next to Florida State.
Well, they're 2-10, but
I understand.
Nobody should have a ranking right now.
No, that's right. These preseason polls are ridiculous.
It is. I mean, nobody's played a game, and people's roster. The only team's roster that doesn't change is Clemson's in terms of transfers. I mean, they may have had like 2 or 3. They're old school.
That's gonna change though. Because they lost to LSU 17-10.
I don't think so.
No,
it hasn't changed in 4 or 5 years. I think he's committed to it, and they didn't play bad. That wasn't a bad loss.
That game despite
again another quarterback that may be overrated.
Yeah.
For Clemson did not play well. I mean Heisman Trophy. I mean he didn't look like a top pick, but he's pretty much a 3 or 4 year starter. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
But LSU's pretty good.
I
think so.
Yeah, I thought. That game was kind of interesting because I thought those teams were actually equal, and despite the score being close to the Texas-Ohio State score, that game wasn't as bad as that score would make you think.
I agree with that.
I thought both teams' defenses were really good in that game, and there were lots of big plays made in that game. It wasn't like it was just a bunch of ugly plays because Clemson's quarterback did not play poorly early in the game. It was late in the game when they started getting rushed, and that's when I thought he started kind of breaking down.
He didn't play like a
Heisman hopeful.
Well, 4 year starter. He did not.
He played kind of like a panicked younger player in the fourth quarter, I thought. But LSU's guy was not good early in the game, but played well late, Nussman. And so I thought that game kind of was balanced. Both teams kind of looked good at times. They didn't look good at times, but I thought a lot of it had to do with how well their defenses were playing more than them just making constant mistakes and it looking just like bad football.
I agree.
Anything else from the college football world that stood out to you from the weekend?
No, it's still going. Still got games Monday night.
Yeah, that's right. They're trying to get into the land of the NFL where they play college football every night of the week.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, if you like sports, this is a great sports weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Labor Day is a tremendous weekend for sports.
Yeah. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. James Brown, John Butler. John, there are other sports besides football going on, although that's most of what we're going to talk about in this show today is football. But one of them would be soccer, and on Monday of last week, we broadcast the game. It was Barren County hosting Glasgow and boys soccer, and the Trojans beat the Scotties 4-1. And I will be honest with you, John.
Are you surprised?
I was surprised because going into the game, I thought I wasn't sure what to make of Barren because they'd been very inconsistent. And I thought Glasgow was playing a little better when I saw them play Warren East.
That's a big score, 4-1.
Yeah.
Soccer. That's like a 20-point win in basketball, right?
Well, it is, and that's about the difference in the game, really. I mean, because Barren was all over Glasgow from the get-go. The first 20 minutes, ball basically stayed on Glasgow's side of the field. They had lots of shots at it. They got the first one in, I think, in the first 3 or 4 minutes, something like that. And then the game kind of leveled out for a little while, and Barren got one at the horn off a corner kick to go up 2-0. And as I was watching the game, I was just like, man, Barren is just really they're playing two ways. One is they're playing better than Glasgow, and they're playing like this game means a lot to them. And Glasgow was not really playing with that same level of intensity.
Didn't match their intensity.
No, and it was just evident, and that seemed to be the real key to the game. And early in the season, Coach Niken had said he thought his team could be pretty good when I talked to him. But he said the only thing was they just had to learn. He's still trying to get them to play the right way.
Right.
And they were playing that game in all the ways that he wants his team to play.
Physical.
Yeah. Moving the ball,
yeah.
Getting in open spaces, finishing plays.
When Coach Mahon came up here, he was not happy at the time how he'd been playing.
Yeah.
In fact, he was a little disappointed.
Right.
And we had talked, kind of thought they'd eventually get it turned around a little bit, but he wasn't. I think he was a little surprised at how things had started.
Yeah.
So maybe they're still trying to get it figured out.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because Barren plays. I think they play Warren East tomorrow night. They play Warren East on Thursday, and I'm curious to see. Because Glasgow had beaten Warren East. They beat them 6-1. That was Warren East's actual first game of the season. Their first game had gotten canceled, and so they really didn't. They have some guys who I think at Warren East who could be dangerous. They just weren't physically ready for it, and Glasgow kind of wore them down as the game went along. And so I'm curious to see how Barren plays against Warren East on Thursday, because that's going to be an interesting matchup between them. And I'm curious to see if Barren plays with that same level of intensity, because they turned around the next night and lost to Foundation Christian 5-1, so they are still inconsistent, it would seem, of how they're playing their games.
And then they play one more since the Foundation Christian? Did they beat?
They beat Monroe County 8-0, I think it was.
Okay.
Or 9-1. They beat Monroe 9-1.
Yeah.
And so, that game, that one doesn't really, Monroe's not that good, so it's kind of hard to know what comes of that. And then Glasgow turned around and they lost to Greenwood on Saturday 7-0. They lost to Franklin Simpson 5-1, I think it was 5-2 on Wednesday.
And beat Allen maybe.
Beat Allen 8-0.
Yeah. Not a good week, going 1-3.
No, and I mean, you look at that. I think if you look at Glasgow from Glasgow's perspective, that was a week. Then, with their playing well, they go 3-1.
Yeah.
Probably not beat Greenwood, but the other three they should win. And if you look at Barren that week, that's a week where they probably think they should go 3-0. If you win that Glasgow game, they probably think they should turn around and beat Foundation Christian on Tuesday, and they didn't. And then they did beat Monroe. So it's still hard to tell at this point. That's why I think this district is kind of fascinating. Allen's obviously the 4 team, and it's like we talked about last week with this. You want to be the one in this district, because that 2-3 matchup is going to be a dogfight no matter how it works out. And, so I'm curious to see how this goes. And if Barren and Glasgow start playing more consistently, and we see these results be more consistent. Meanwhile, on the girls' side, Glasgow actually lost their first game last week. They lost to Franklin Simpson. It ended up being 9-2 or 9-1.
Yeah, it was a little surprising. They're 5-1 or maybe they're 6-1. Great start, but the margin to Franklin was a little surprising.
I think what happened, my son went over there and he said what really happened was the game was close, but it's a young team, and the age of the team finally showed up. Franklin has a couple of girls up top who are really good. They caused Barren all kinds of problems in the first game of the season, and he said that basically Franklin just wore them down, and it got out of hand in the second half because of that. They just physically wore them down as the game went along. Glasgow had played well. They had won a lot of close games, played on that. They were able to win their games. They do have a good defense, but they just could not hold up over that relentless assault. And then they came back and beat Allen County 5-1 on Thursday, I think it was. So it's an interesting game between, I think, Barren and Glasgow tomorrow night, Tuesday night. And it's going to be over at Barren. And I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, Barren got a good win against Warren East.
They did?
Yeah,
they did.
And girls. So, Barren and Glasgow. Barren has dominated the last,
I don't know, 4 years or so?
4 years, in the rivalry right now. But it's clearly Glasgow is now on the upswing.
Yeah.
With a ton of young players. So, we'll see. It does seem like the margin right now is pretty close.
Yeah. So either way, I think Glasgow has equaled their wins from last year. I think they're 6-1 now after the Allen County win. So they won 6 games last year and none the year before. Hate to bring it back up, but just bring it up to
show you the progress.
Yeah, I mean what they've done, the growth they've had, and the fact that it's still a young team. It's a bunch of freshmen.
That's right.
And then, Glasgow plays. Also, they play Barren Tuesday, and then they play Warren East on Thursday. That's going to be a district game. They beat Warren East 2-1 and 1-0 so far this year. The 1-0 game was the 2A sectional stuff. So I'm curious to see how things go. Volleyball. I think Barron and Glasgow are going to play each other next week. I think it is.
I believe that's right.
But they both played district games this past week. Glasgow played Warren East and lost 3-0, and then Barron played Allen County and lost 3-1. Right now, clearly Warren East is probably the best team in the district. They've been pretty good the last few years. Been one of the better teams in the region actually. And then Allen, they've been kind of the number 2 team in the district the last few years, and looks like that's going to maintain at this point. So, it'll be interesting whenever Glasgow and Barron play each other. Barron has a winning record. Glasgow is kind of struggling out of the gate in the volleyball arena. Anything else from the other sports in the area you can think of that struck you this past week?
No, not that I mean, Bowling Green football 0-2. That struck me.
Yes, that's right.
Losing to Owensboro Catholic and St. X. And of course, St. X coach Kevin Wallace retiring this year, but he, come back and got a win at Bowling Green. I know that means a lot to him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. James Brown, John Butler, here to close out the show. We're going to go back to that football, the one with the oblong ball, not the one with the round ball, but the spherical ball, I guess is what it is. But anyway, the NFL kicks off on Thursday night, and before that, of course, there's fantasy drafts that everybody's done and that kind of stuff, getting ready for the season. I heard an interesting thing on the fantasy draft front, John, last week I think it was. They were talking about sometimes it's about the players, but sometimes it's about looking at where the players play to decide whether or not they're worth drafting in your fantasy draft. So I think their point was don't pick anybody who plays for the Cleveland Browns on offense.
Yeah, they're probably – I don't know. As long as Joe Flacco plays, they're going to be slinging it with him.
Yeah.
But no, them and New Orleans probably not going to have great offense. I think that's fair to say.
I thought about it before. Well, I guess I thought about teams not being good at offense, but they may have a good player, you know what I mean, a good running back, a good receiver, or something of this nature that might get some points for you. But I hadn't really thought about the fact that they just have a bad offense and you don't want any of those dudes.
No, probably stay away from those teams.
Well, so we kind of talked about the who might, challenge in the NFC and the AFC, or especially NFC. We couldn't really come up with another team to challenge the Eagles this year, but I think we've got one now.
Well, Green Bay may have moved up.
Yes, they did.
Since they got Micah Parsons, finally, that saga in Dallas. Dallas decided just to eventually trade him.
Yeah.
So it's got to help Green Bay, at least in the short term. Long term, we'll see, because there's a lot of money that's now allocated to a defensive end, linebacker, however you want to call it. But for the short term, that may really move them up. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback now, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
If he's average or not very good, it don't matter how many Micah Parsons they have. So we'll see. We'll see, but that was obviously the big move last week.
Yeah, Love wasn't bad last year. He was
okay.
The last 2 years, his biggest problem, I think, has been being on the field full time.
He was hurt at times, and his receivers didn't help him a whole lot either.
No.
But they've we'll see. He did not have near as good of a year as he had the year before.
Right.
After he took after they re-signed him too. After got paid and so forth. So I was a little disappointing, but the heat will be on. He better perform.
Yeah. Do you have any games circled on the first week that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, Philadelphia and Dallas opening night, Thursday night.
Yeah, that one's going to be.
And then Philadelphia. I'm sorry. Then it's Baltimore and Buffalo. That's the marquee game.
Yeah, that's right. When do they play that one? Sunday night?
I think it's Sunday night.
Yeah,
or sometime Sunday. Yep.
Yeah, so that game will be a lot of fun, especially considering how things ended up last year.
Yep.
I guess I don't really have any particular games I'm looking forward to. I am curious to see two things, since a couple of years ago, the death of the running back was declared, and then last year we had a 2,000-yard rusher, and then Derrick Henry had the season he had. We had guys at other teams who didn't get the numbers quite like those guys, have the high profile, but had big seasons as well running the football. And so I'm curious to see if we are actually in the age of the resurgence of the running back.
Well, you know how things go. It's up and down and so forth. It's trendy, just like three-point shooting in basketball and so forth. So NFL teams will adapt, probably use more resources now on linebackers and defensive tackles, than so forth. And that may open the passing game back up. So, it's up, down, and so forth. But, yeah, you're right. Now, what has not changed is the paying running backs is still – they still look at them as a commodity. It's probably going to last 5 or 6 years unless you're Henry for Baltimore now. But yeah, I look forward to it. The NFL, it's the best run league in sports.
That's right.
Said it 1,000 times. It's salary cap, and it is well run.
Yep. All right. Anything else from the sports front you looking forward to, or?
It's just like I said, fall it's not quite fall, but it's a great time of year for sports.
Felt like fall this weekend.
Especially when the weather's been just unbelievably good.
Yeah. That was one thing. Friday night, the weather was great.
It was great.
All right. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.